I'm Connor Northrup, and I'm joined by featherweight prospect Joey Tizzano, who faces Isaiah Monroe at CFFC 82, August 12th. What's up, Joey? How you doing?
I'm doing good, Connor. Thanks for having me, man. Of
Yeah, thanks for coming. Appreciate your time.
course.
I know you say you just got back from training too, with everything going on with the COVID and everything like that. I mean, how do you feel physically right now? Just a couple weeks out from the fight.
I actually feel great. I got a small group of guys over at the gym, that I'm able to work with. It's a little different. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It's definitely not the same. But at the end of the day, I mean, I'm stepping in the cage and I'm fighting someone, so that's staying the same. And I feel good, man. I'm getting a lot of hard work in. The guys that I train with are pushing me, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah. And I know this fight's against Isaiah Monroe. That's a guy who I think you were slated to fight once before when, kind of all of this, the world kind of fell to pieces. But
Shut down.
yeah, so I mean, does this just kind of feel like delayed to you? I mean, like, what did you have to do differently, I guess, from this camp to that? Did you make any adjustments?
Um, Honestly, not really. I mean, I'm still training for the same guy, but I'm not getting in like the full amount of guys that I would normally have. But I'm still able to get some guys who are similar build, and I was able to travel for my last camp or the camp that was supposed to happen. I was going to Nicatones down in Brick a lot,
Okay.
and those guys are killers down there, and that's kind of the only thing that I'm doing a little bit different. I'm just kind of sticking up at Miller Brothers. Again, we got a lot of good guys who are coming through, and I'm still getting pushed to my limits, and again, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I'm actually from Brick, so that's funny. But I know that Nick's got the gym there and everything. But yeah, I mean, just like with this fight too, was it always did you always feel like this fight was gonna happen with Monroe, like, or was there anyone else that was kind of talked about?
I kind of felt like whenever CFFC was gonna, have another card that they were gonna try to slate this fight again. I think he's a tough competitor, and I'm sure, during this whole quarantine, he's been staying ready,
Hmm.
and he probably was keeping in touch with Rob and Arias, and was probably saying, as soon as things go back to normal, put me on the card, and when Arias gave me the call, he said the same opponent, and here we are just about 2 weeks out, and hopefully nothing crazy happens. I'm crossing my fingers. Last time it was 12 days out from the fight when it got canceled, and we're 12 days out right now. So today was a little scary, I guess, but everything's going pretty smooth. Knock on wood, and we're getting closer.
Yeah. What is your like analysis on a guy like Isaiah?
I mean, for the featherweight class, he's a tall guy. I believe he's like 6 foot. He's long and lanky. I had fought somebody like that before in my amateur career who was 6 foot. And I look at him like he's a pretty well-rounded fighter. I'm expecting the best Isaiah Monroe come August 12th.
Yeah, is there any area where you feel like he poses maybe like a pretty like clear threat? I mean, when you talk about his height, I mean, is it that reach?
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and say I stuff I want to keep silent, but yeah, reach advantage is gonna be in his favor. Obviously, guys like that, they're gonna look for the head kicks and look for the knees. He's got a pretty good triangle choke when it comes to the ground, but I'm honestly looking that everywhere this fight goes, I think I'm gonna be better.
Yeah. And obviously, COVID had kind of pushed this one back, but I know you also had another fight before that that was scratch. I think you even went through two opponents for that one too, and two camps all together. How frustrating was that time for you? This kind of break away from the cage.
It's a little frustrating, on the positive note, I look at it that I got better. I honestly feel like so I was supposed to fight Chris Perez August 16th of last year, and we were meeting at a catch weight because he had took the fight on short notice, and unfortunately the night before weigh-ins, I heard he wasn't able to make the weight. It's kind of BS if you ask me. We're professionals, and 50% of our job is making the weight, so that was a little bit rough being that close to the fight, having to cancel, and then I kind of took that rest of the year off to not reevaluate, but I was training hard, and I told Darius come the new year I'd be ready, and he booked me for the March show, and then unfortunately COVID happened, and the world's on kind of a standstill, and that got canceled. And again, that was a little frustrating because you're around fighters, and I know you understand. We go through a lot of hard work with these camps, busting our butts 2 days, two times, 3 times a day, 6-7 days a week, and to not be able to step in the cage and perform when you're at a peak, you're feeling at your peak performance is a little frustrating. But again, I feel like I got a lot better in the last 365 days. So, again, that's something to look at on the positive note.
Yeah. And that fight with Perez, too, like, he wasn't even, like, your original opponent, right? Wasn't he, like, a replacement?
Yeah, so I was supposed to fight. So back in May, this is the card last May, I ended up fighting Troy Sterling. So I was booked to fight Wanga Larza out of Silver Fox. Very tough opponent that would have been. He ended up getting injured, and Troy Sterling was a replacement, fought him. And then we were booked again in August to fight, and unfortunately he got injured again. And then, Chris Perez was the late replacement about 2.5 weeks out.
Yeah. And just like, for sure. For sure. But, hopefully, the craziness kind of is ending here. CFFC's back, obviously, and, not a lot of regional promotions are going now, with everything going on. It's taking them a while. But for you, how grateful are you for the opportunity, too? Not just to be on that card, but the first one back.
It's awesome, man. I really, really enjoy fighting for CFFC. I love the way Aries and Rob Haydick run everything. It's very professional. It almost seems like it's like CFFC and then UFC's right up there. I mean, you see all the guys who come out of there. I mean, there are a bunch of killers, world champions, and I feel like if you fight for CFFC, you got a pretty good chance of making it in the UFC because, their motto is no easy fights, and that's definitely a true statement.
Yeah. And you talk about all the guys, and you think about all the champions that have come from there too. Obviously Aljamain Sterling, Paul Felder, those are kind of some of the more not recent but obvious ones. But for you too, this would be 2 fights now, and I think you fought for CFFC in both your fights. So for you too, a win here, where do you feel like that puts you in the division? Are you looking for a potential title mix? What's kind of the stance on that?
Definitely. I feel like maybe this fight would be a little bit premature, not going to lie. I still think I need to build myself up. I almost look at myself as not talked about prospect enough. I feel like a lot of people don't know my name, and honestly, that's okay. But, I want to build myself up a little bit more, make sure I'm ready for these big fights because, these guys in this weight class who fight in this promotion they're no joke, man. They're all tough guys.
For sure. And one thing I want to talk about, too, I saw you kind of documented it a lot, too, on Instagram and everything, but I know you courted Jim Miller during this pandemic at UFC on ESPN 11. Another historic night for Jim, too. Just what was that experience like for you, too? I saw you got to, you're at the Performance Institute, all that. What was it like just to kind of watch him go through that and be part of it?
Man, it was surreal. It was an unbelievable experience. For somebody who's looking and striving and working to get there, it was very cool to be there and experience, basically what he's going through from the weight cut all the way to the day of the fight. It's kind of cool, seeing somebody who has 35 UFC fights still get those jitters, and it makes me feel a little bit better when I'm getting my hands wrapped before a fight and I'm almost like, damn, what am I doing here? But to see a guy like that experience those feelings, still 35 fights into the UFC, not counting his other fights, 35 fights in the UFC straight without being cut. It's a little bit relieving, but again, being there and experiencing it, I know there wasn't a crowd there, but it was still enough to, for me to endure that experience. And it was awesome.
Yeah. Have you cornered a UFC event before this?
Excuse me. No, that was my first one. That was the first one, and hopefully it's not the last. It was something I'd love to do again. Again, just being there was surreal, and I'd love to do it again. And hopefully one day I'm stepping in the cage and you'll hear my name being called.
For sure. And who will be cornering you for this fight?
So I'm going to be having my jiu-jitsu coach, Brian McLaughlin, who is a wizard. I want to give a lot of credit to him. He's really improved my game when it comes to jiu-jitsu, and he's just got a great understanding of jiu-jitsu for MMA. I feel like my top game on the ground and even my bottom game, like during this time, I've spent a lot of during this quarantine, I've spent a lot of time working with him, and in just the last couple of months, I feel like my jiu-jitsu has improved a lot. So he's great to have. He's very vocal, and he's step by step when you're doing something, and it's very comfortable, hearing him. He doesn't panic when he's talking. You have a lot of cornermen who are screaming almost frantically. He's very calm and relaxed, and it's almost like he's playing a video game. He's telling you to do this, and you do it, you do that. So he's great to have. I was going to have Jim Miller, but let's just say something came up and he's not able to corner, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't want to spill any beans.
Yeah,
and then my other cornerman is gonna be LJ Raboli, who is a local fighter, 155er, 2-0 pro, I think 4-0 as an amateur, absolute stud. I mean, I don't say this about a lot of people, but he is. I think he's going to make it in the UFC. This kid is an absolute wizard on the ground, on the feet, everywhere it goes, and I'm excited, and makes me feel better when I have guys like that in my corner. It's comfortable.
Yeah. Has Jim cornered you in all your professional fights up to this point?
Yeah, he cornered me a couple of my last amateur fights. I want to say my last 3 amateur fights, and then my first 2 pro fights. And having him there sometimes is cool because people look at him and they're like, "Oh man, like that's a legend." And just being able to train with a guy like that, he always tells me before my fights, like, "Man, you're hanging with me. You'll be able to hang with these guys." And again, that's just like a great confidence boost having somebody like that in your corner, backing you up.
Yeah. One of the things I want to talk about that you mentioned earlier too, talk about like getting your hands wrapped and things like that. And I saw an interview recently that stuck with me with Brandon Royval, who I think he just signed his second fight with the UFC, but he was kind of talking about how when he's actually like getting ready like for the fight, kind of making that walk, he kind of like almost questions himself like why he does it and things like that. Now I know you say you get like nervous with the hands wrapped. Like, do you ever like think about that though? Like, does that ever kind of cross your mind when you're entering something like that? Because I've never made that walk. I don't know what that's like. So I just wonder like what kind of goes through your mind when you are kind of in this kind of combat gladiator atmosphere.
Yeah, you know what, Connor, I'm not going to lie. Sometimes, you get that almost like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this with my life? I should have continued going to school or something. But, that it's just the buildup. The buildup is what drives you crazy. It's a long, I feel good right now. I'm not really nervous, but come the day of weigh-ins and after that is where it's, all right, we're getting closer. And then the day of the fight, it feels like it takes forever to get to the fight. It's say you're fighting at 6 o'clock and it's 12 o'clock, those 6 hours will drag on forever.
Mm-hmm.
You get to the venue, you see, you might see an ambulance car rolling with the stretcher and it's real. You're sitting there talking to the referee, he's telling you things in the fight. Like, if you get knocked down, I'm going to give you this amount of time. And it's like, holy crap, man, this is real. And you start getting your hands wrapped and the nerves start kicking in. But again, once my walkout song's on and I make that walk, it all goes away and I feel like I'm at home.
Yeah. Does that ever like ease like fight by fight, or is it kind of the same every time?
I felt like my first amateur fight and my first pro fight, I had a lot of pressure on myself. Just, you want to start off on the right foot. You want to start off 1-0 rather than 0-1. If you lose, it's not the end of the world. But again, you want that momentum to build. And so I feel like those first amateur fight and the first pro fight was a little bit more pressure. But at the end of the day, you're fighting regardless, whether it's your first fight or your 15th fight. And those nerves are always going through you.
Yeah. Before I let you go, anything else you want to add? Anything I didn't touch on? The floor is yours.
Just tune into a great card. I mean, there's a lot of big names, a lot of local guys. I mean, I'm excited to fight alongside, Santo Curatalo and Phil Caracappa. I've trained with them before at Nicatone's.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely look forward to, or definitely check those guys out. It's going to be a great card, and just keep an eye out for me, man. I'm always going to be in your face, and I'm going to make it a fight. And you know, I try to be as exciting as I can because I know, especially to get to the big leagues, that's how you got to be. You can't really be grinding out these decisions. You gotta try to finish fights. And you know, out of my 8 fights, I have 6 finishes. So you know, I'm going to try to keep that high finishing streak going.
Yeah. I just I have one little follow up to that too. I mean, do you like, because your last fight did go all 3 rounds too? I mean, do you feel like a little more pressure to finish this one?
No, not really. You know, I look back at that fight and I almost laughed because there were so many different moments where I could have finished the fight. But again, you know, I'm a growing fighter. We learn these things. You can't just go in and have your way every single time. Again, it's a fight. Crazy things happen. And, you know, I'm just going to go in there. I'm going to look for the finish. If I can get it, awesome. You know, if I can grind out a decision, a hard-fought decision, that's good too. But at the end of the day, August 12th, I'm going to get my hand raised.
All right, Joe. Well, thanks for your time, and I wish you the best come August 12th.
Appreciate it, Connor. Thanks for having me on, man. I really enjoy my MMA news and all you guys over there. You guys are awesome.